Every once in a while, that Facebook memory thing can be really, really helpful. I've been looking for this series that I did about a year ago, and today it popped up, and I went, okay, cool. I was just really excited about that. It was about the 4 influencers that have made an impact on my life in the past during those formative years from middle school, high school, and so I've looked and I've looked, and the funny part of it is, as I look through my history, not my history, but as I look through my videos, my history of videos, I have, I do this 3 or 4 times a week, and sometimes more, and sometimes a little less, but roughly that amount. And I looked at the number of videos, and they all look the same. So how do you find something? It used to be that you would roll over your mouse over the top of it. The title of the video would pop up. Doesn't do that anymore. So finding a video in this huge library of live feeds when everything looks the same. I'm either sitting right here, sitting at my desk, or sitting in the backyard. One of those 3 places in 90% of the videos. I just couldn't find it. And so today it popped up, and it was one of my memories. I went, yes, there we go. So that made it really easy then for me to find the video. I could then look at the color shirt that I had on, and I could search through the videos until I found that series of videos. But the reason why I was so excited about that is because those videos were the influencers in my life. So I want to talk about influencers today for just a tiny bit. And then I want to take off on something that I read as I was getting ready a year ago. One of these other things that shows up is sometimes other posts that you've made will appear. And I had a post that appeared where I had my pad, I had my pencil, I had a cup of coffee, I had a book, I had a notebook, and all that stuff that I normally do my preparation on. And I said, preparing for this morning's Bucket Talks. And the caption read this. I thought the caption was really important, and I remembered saying that, and I remembered posting that. But you forget about those things after time, and so that comes back up in my memory, and I was like, okay, cool, this is pretty awesome. Not because I said it, but just because it's pretty awesome. And the thing that was pretty awesome about that was it said this: nothing scripted, everything prepared. I don't script these. Where I'm going with this is this. I don't script these, but I do work hard to make sure the content's meaningful. Sometimes I just turn it on and talk. This morning I'm turning it on and talking, but I'm talking about the things that had appeared before. But most of the time, there's a careful, thought out process that goes into this. It's not scripted, but it's planned. It's not a script. I'm not following a prescribed script. Sometimes I'll write something down, not very often, but sometimes I'll write something down so that I make sure that I get it in the right order, or I'm quoting somebody and make sure I do that. I'm giving you this because this is part of the nature of what you do if you go live. You have to do these kinds of things if you're going to go live. I'm not a scripted guy. I don't think that scripting is going to be beneficial for me. It's very beneficial for a lot of people, but it's not necessarily beneficial for me. I'm not very good at following a teleprompter. I would fail in today's political arena because I won't follow a teleprompter. But there are things that you need to know and you need to have sequenced in your head. One of those was about these influencers. There were 4 people. Those 4 people were major influences in my life, and I continue to this day to give them honor. So there's 2 things I want to grab out of that little influencers information and make it available to you today. I have on various occasions decided I was going to stop doing this. I figured, there is work involved. Even though it's not scripted, it is planned, and there's some planning involved in that. It is a time thing every day at 9 o'clock every morning. That doesn't always work for me, and I've struggled sometimes with making that daily commitment to do that, and so I've struggled with that. And in the process of struggling with that, there's been times when I've decided not to do it anymore. And I'm telling you that because there was this experience that I had. We had a lady in our church who was struggling with Alzheimer's, and she would hear my voice and she knew there was a connection. The lady that was her caretaker would take her phone, she would set the phone down, and the two of them would watch the live feed in the morning. Now, granted that my content's not designed specifically or targeted specifically to that audience, but hearing my voice was beneficial to her. Now, if you were to ask her my name, she wouldn't have done that, but she did recognize the voice and she recognized the face. Because when I would see her at church, she would make this little box like the size of a phone, and she would hold that out and she would point to that and point to me, which, was telling me that there was a connection that was being made there. And I had decided I was going to stop doing that on a day when I ran into this lady at church, and she did that, and I decided I can't stop doing that. I'm having an influence at the very last days of this woman's life, and I don't want to change that. Somebody took the time. That's the reason for the 4 influencers. Somebody took the time to influence my life when I was a pain in the butt. And I just felt like it was meaningful to do that again. And then each time since then, that was about 3 years ago, each time since then, when I've thought about stopping, somebody has encouraged me to continue. Out of the blue, they've encouraged me to continue. Because you have to take a look at what's the influence that you're making. Where are you making a difference? Are you impacting people's lives? Is there something there that's going to be beneficial, meaningful for them? Now, you all care enough to come in and spend 10 minutes with me almost every morning, 4 days a week. And I really do appreciate that. That has an impact on me. Whether you realize that or not, it has an impact on me. I'm saying this because we kind of live in this world where we have to function together. Okay. And it's really important that we do that. And we have to understand what our roles are in that world. And we have to make it beneficial for everybody that's involved. But every time I think about quitting, I remember that lady and doing this with her fingers. So she was making that little, and sometimes she would mumble TV. That for her was her TV, and so that was beneficial to her. Just hearing the sound of my voice made a difference. And I think it's important that we recognize where we have those influences. The 4 influencers, there were 3 things that my dad had said to me that I've never forgotten, and I mentioned those in that video. There was one thing that the football coach in high school had said to me when I was in middle school. Never forgot that thing, and it influenced me in a tremendous way when I became a dad. There is one thing that my high school principal did for me. He's mentioned in that list, and there's one event that took place in my life with Chuck Thomas, and I've never forgotten that. All of those took place sometime between 1970 and 1976, and they still impact my life today. You've heard me say many times that one of the things that makes a difference, one of the things that I consider to be an influence, is do I continue to quote that person decades later? And those 4 people said a total of 7 things that have shaped and influenced my life now, from 1970 to 1976 to this day. So those little things that we do, as Don said, we're all digital neighbors now. People watch this from all over the world. And sometimes I'm baffled that they do. Sometimes I'm amazed that they do. But because we have the ability to live in a digital neighborhood, there's some things that we can do today that we haven't been able to do before. Okay, so with that, I'm going to wrap this up. But I just was excited when I saw that pop up in my Facebook history today, because I thought this is something that's extremely important, and it has influenced me now for all of these years. And I wanted to share that with you, how that we might be able to do this in a digital world. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, given all things continue to work as they should. And I will see you then.